do our stock take to transfer our inventory from zero for another 2 weeks.
Okay.
So what we were wondering, and you can tell me obviously with what you know as to whether or not this plan is possible. We would like to focus on
patients and client
patient.
usage.
Yeah. So we want to transfer the patient and clients out of Clinico that we're using currently.
Okay.
And then templates for, clinical notes as well as letters. And then, I don't know, I think that we've got a few other questions about those sections.
Okay.
And then payroll. So we're thinking if we can leave inventory as such as a separate thing to do in a couple of weeks' time when actually we've done our stock take.
So we'll continue using Xero until we need to start using inventory in Veta.
Is that possible?
Yes. No. Well, as I say, you're the paying customer, so if absolutely, it's perfectly fine. Just one thing is you just won't be able to enter charges or invoice.
No, that's fine. We'll still charge out of Xero for now.
Oh, okay, then you're perfect. It all works.
So
but we'll be able to. Just a question. We will be able to write histories and things with that affecting.
Yes, absolutely. You just, unless an item's created in inventory, you can't bill.
No. That's right.
Point.
We won't do any billing on inventory for now. If we could do the clients, patients, and payroll set up.
And usage with regards to communication with clients.
Yeah, kind of setting that up in the calendar view and that kind of stuff.
Okay, all right. So what we'll do is we'll go into settings.
Yeah.
I'll run through the configurations.
Perfect.
And then I'm going to do the templates with you.
Perfect.
And then we'll go to patients and clients because that's actually much easier to do.
Right.
Payroll is a default function, which I'll show you how that works out of settings.
Perfect.
So
just bear in mind, I've never done payroll. I pay these girls through a spreadsheet type thing.
Okay.
So I've never set up.
Very stone.
Vetter doesn't do payroll. We keep track of time.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Okay. So it's very easy. So let's start with the most basic thing. Let's address the payroll thing first.
Oh, okay.
Your staff, and this is part of settings, when you create your staff, and it's very simple. I'm just going to click on one of the ones we have here. This is me here.
Mm-hmm.
Your staff then has, if I go to edit here, just going to show you. You enter all this stuff in. Now the roles are important. Roles determine what access or permission you have to different parts of the software.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Now, in an ideal world that your trusted staff, right? Everyone has admin powers, but as I like to say, 18-year-olds should not have access, right, to inventory or financial billing, right? And each role, as you can imagine, admin, office manager, kind of vet technician, the higher order roles, for want of a better phrase,
mm-hmm.
they default would have more power.
Mm-hmm.
If this is somebody brand new you hire and you're going to say, let's see how it works out, you start them at staff.
Right.
I'll show you those permissions in a moment. Go ahead and enter these things here. What matters is as follows, do you want your staff to be able to log in after hours? Generally, hourly staff, because they could manipulate their time card. I mean, you'd catch it, but you'd still have to go through the act of them logging in at 10 o'clock at night and saying, I work. Right. Providers on the schedule or not, up to you. Right. And generally most clinics have their veterinarians, and then they have a column for the technicians, because certain appointments are handled by technicians.
Mm-hmm.
And these are the key things here. Now, the other thing is hourly. So I'm just going to show you what happens if I'm hourly here. Salaried, you log in, you log out. It tracks your hours 24 hours a day because you're not going to be needing that. A couple things. Now look, suddenly I'm hourly. Are you ready to clock in? And voila, I clock in. And now the time starts. And that means when I'm done, I need to clock out, right?
Okay.
And you as an admin will see all of these things into the reports. And the reports right away that you would use for this is under staff, come to here, say timesheets, right?
Yep.
And this is where, okay, let me get a longer date range here.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know. So
that's all right. It would show up there.
wait a second. Yeah, no, but why isn't that? I wonder if did I do some? Just a second. Did I do something wrong there? No, because I should still be. Can you pause for just a second, Dr. Neela?
Yeah, go for it.
I'm curious here. Just a moment. I want to ask my.
Happy? Mm-hmm. Cool. Oh, shit. Do you know what I didn't do? It's not recording our voice. It's only recording his. Stop. It's fine.
So, Dr. Neela, sorry about that. It turns out that, well, the software is acting smarter. We used to show salaried here, and
right.
And so, since my colleague and I were, and I haven't logged out yet, since there were no hourly employees, it doesn't show any timesheets. Once I log out, it would.
Okay, right.
So those are little things like Vetter does about 30 enhancements a month.
Wow.
The big ones I announce, like I'm going to announce a big one later today. Smaller ones like this that are just logical, we don't always notice. So you would suddenly notice and say, oh, wow, they got rid of the salaried employees because that makes no sense, right? So good to know. And
good.
The other thing here is capture signature. So anyone signing, this will go on letters, right?
Yep.
Anything official, you can go ahead, and if it's a tablet, you can draw it. In this case, I have a laptop. It's a little tougher, right? You kind of do this.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not good at that. Or you can just type it.
And then it designs one for you. Yeah.
Can you just type it just to show us there?
Yeah, it does that nice kind of like italicized view here.
Yeah. Right. Thank you.
You're welcome. This took me like 30 minutes to do, so but if I had a tablet, I would just use my fingertip and it'd be easy, done.
Easy. Cool. Yeah.
That's essentially how payroll, in other words, gets set up. Now, while we're on that spot there, since we mentioned permissions, see, you have to take the time to do this here. Again, dependent on the role, if I come to here and say, like, let's say receptionist, access it, it's going to show you, we put defaults in as to what we think would be, used by most clinics, but maybe something like can undo checked-in appointments. Maybe that's something you only want the office manager to do.
Okay.
All of these are engineered to try to prevent theft. Is the basic thing, because we learned because we had some clinics where people came in and had to pay a deposit and on the appointment, and then they paid cash, and then the receptionist undid the check-in, and there was no record of the appointment, right? And like that. This is our thinking, and I don't mean to create bad energy, but this is how it works, and so certain things like inventory, no, we let them view certain things, like the quick edit. You can view the price of anything, you can view alerts, but we're not going to let you, as an overall thing. Overall, right now, they can't even access the inventory module. If you do let them access it, these are the things we recommend, right? And you can change this as needed. As you can imagine, like clinic financials, under reports, right? We let certain reports, everyone should be able to view the diagnosis summary report. Reminders, everyone should be able to review that, right?
Yeah.
But sales by item, yes. But clinic financials, no. So you get to pick and choose who can see what. All right.
Okay. Cool.
So then coming to the other kind of configurations here.
Just are we coming out of the payroll stuff?
Yes.
Okay, just a quick to clarify. So, with regards to payroll under speech marks, what it's referring to is basically just clock in, clock out recording and signature and pay and staff details.
Correct. This is by creating the staff that puts them on your timesheets.
Yep.
Making them hourly or salary determines whether there's going to be a report generated for them. And do understand, and once your staff, clock in, clock out. They got to do that, right?
Yeah.
If it ever goes, let's say somebody forgets in the first week, oh my God, I'm sorry, Dr. Neela, they come, I worked for 24 hours or what have you.
Yeah.
You can just give us a call and we'll edit it for you in reports.
Right. So we need to contact you to edit.
But the first time through, it's good we walk you through that process.
Oh, right. To get shown how to do it.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. And now one thing we haven't done yet is I haven't created. Everybody's logging in under me at the moment.
Okay. And so this is where you come to new staff.
What was the account type, that we got? Because I know we looked at quite a few.
You have unlimited. So you can put as many people in as you wish.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
Perfect. Right. So you just come here, you fill this out, and then the software will then automatically
Where are you? So you're in the staff, are you?
Staff, and then he's just gone into new staff.
New staff. Okay, cool.
And then once you hit save and done, Vetter automatically sends a login credential.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
So you don't need to do anything there.
Great. And then the person can just do it from their email and set up a password of their own.
And then they can set up their own, it'll send some random generated password. Oops. And then you just come to here and change password.
Change password. Okay, cool.
Perfect. One little thing, some clinics have this, even though they have unlimited, they might have a workstation, right? Certain workstations around the clinic.
Yep.
And if you don't care that people bounce in and out of accounts or use the same account, that's okay. But I always recommend that you train the staff that if it's a workstation and somebody new, and put like a big old Post-it note on it and saying, if you're logging in as a different user, hit the switch user thing. Because all it does is the person puts in their own password. Because then if they're making, let's say, any edits to medical notes or any, patient records, it will show who made the changes.
Cool.
Otherwise, if they are logged in under, Dr. Neela Graham, everything will say Dr. Neela Graham.
Okay, I get that bit, but obviously it needs to be done for timesheet purposes if people are on an hourly basis.
Well, no, that's different. This is clock in and clock out. They clock in once a day and they clock out another day. That has nothing to do with this logging out here. So
that's what I needed to understand.
So what you're saying is we can have multiple stations. You can log into a station and out of station, but it won't affect whether you've clocked in or clocked out.
Correct, but they would simply exactly. And all that means is that if I go to here, a sample, let's say, show you a patient record here. And by the way, you're going to see me use this all the time. This is the fastest little navigation tool.
History thing.
Right underneath the little history, last 10 places, even in the software. So here, provider is always going to be, that's only the doctors. But updated by, maybe you have your staff do certain updates. You want to see who made the updates.
Sure.
Unless they switch users, it'll always be the first person who logged in that day.
Okay.
Okay, so that's just a little trick right there. Jumping back to our settings, I'm just going to cover the boring configuration part here. And this is clinic specific. Do you want, for example, have the cursor hover over appointments and then it opens up the information, or do you want to click on them? It's, again, 50-50. Some clinics like to click on the appointments. Others just want to hover over.
I see what you mean. Yeah, okay.
Edit it here, right? Do you want your confirmations, appointment confirmations? Do you want them to go out via email or text, right? A lot of things seem innocuous. You're wondering, like, why is there an option to display account balances on an invoice?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, I hate to say it, the average person gets freaked out. Let's say the invoice is for $100, and then they have a outstanding balance of, $200. And so now it'll say invoice 100, account balance 300.
Sure.
And then they'll call you up, the client, and say, what's going on?
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Right. Again, up to you, your clientele, right?
Sure.
Whatever you want to put at the bottom of the footers, billing statements, estimates.
So billing, just the statement footer,
Yeah.
that's generic.
Well, no, it says nothing. Generic is like the bottom I put on my invoice.
Sorry. So if we did put in a billing statement, that's a billing statement.
Footer. So in other words, the option to add footers to your estimates. I mean, this is just boilerplate language we put down.
That's fine, yeah.
You could have it say, and please pay Dr. Neela in cash in her Swiss bank account, Yeah. And monthly statements, I haven't written anything here, but
perfect.
You just choose that. Now,
okay. I've seen some vet clinics like put in reminders about vaccinations or not reminders, but kind of information about, like, I don't know where this would fit in, but you can tell me because say, for example, somebody gets billed for a vaccine, that I've seen sometimes footers have be aware of side effects in the first 24 hours. Let us know if you have any concerns. So that is like item specific footer.
Correct, except we would use letters for that. We don't use
fine. Okay, that's fine. Okay, cool.
And no problem. And now certain things here I'm gonna insist on, even though we give options, always create an invoice at time of check-in. Now you can check in with an invoice or an estimate, but when it says no default, a lot of times clinics forget and they'll create appointments without an invoice estimate. Sure. That's bad. Always do this.
Okay.
Include shipping and tax in your pricing. That's Australia specific. We actually built that in when we do inventory pricing. That'll come up when we do inventory.
Okay, great.
The things that matter to you here that are going to be important is Vetter sends out two types of reminders: an appointment reminder and let me change something here. I want this to be email. We send out appointment reminders and medical reminders. Medical reminders being, picking up medicine or vaccine reminders or next due. And we have a default in here 1 week prior, and here we have 2 days before. Again,
can I ask you, the default medical reminder, is that something that because one of our questions was going to be about, we write a lot of scripts for psychiatric meds. And say I might write for a client 3 months supply. So I was going to ask you how at some point, how we can track and try and, at the moment I'm very reactive rather than proactive with regards to when clients need scripts. But I'd like to be a bit more proactive.
Okay.
If I've dispensed, does that make sense?
Yes, it does. So being proactive, let me show you. This is where inventory comes in. So being proactive, let's say this was a rabies vaccination. Now, I know you're not writing script for that, but I'm going to use this as an example. And what I have here is, I don't want to complicate this, sorry, because this is going to get in the inventory. Let me pick a different item. Now, I know that cephalexin does not have a standard reminder, right? It's generally just a prescribed once, maybe with a refill. But notice here, I just put this down for demo purposes, 6 weeks. That means 5 weeks from now, the software is going to send out an email reminder. Hey, come to Calm Companions and get your refill of X or whatever. So whatever you put here, all reminders are determined by what you put as a next due.
Okay, and then 1 week before as per the other setting.
And you can send out also multiple reminders, but that's going to be for the separate training. That's the inventory part of it.
Right, okay.
Can I just check that this calculates the 6 weeks? It'll send that reminder at depending on how much is actually provided to that client. So if they get 3 weeks worth of cephalexin, that reminder will come out.
Right. So what you can do is this. So if it's something where I'm writing script off the, I'm writing it on an ad hoc basis. Let me jump to a patient here. Okay. And in I'm going to add a record. And again, in Vetter, remember that charges are called records. It's just how our nomenclature here. New record, and we call either create a medical note or a medical record. So let's say, I'm just going to show you, here's this cephalexin, right? And I've got it. Now it's going to create a reminder. It's going to create a reminder, and you can see the next due is 6 weeks from now. Okay, but for whatever reason, you say, gosh darn it, I want this done in 3 weeks or 2 weeks. Not a problem. You can edit this on the spot.
You can personalize it to your patient.
Exactly. So the default will be 6 weeks, but I want them in on, okay, whatever. I did July. That's bad. It's warning me, but you get the idea. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Now
so we can adjust that because we can say, we can calculate how much we dispensed.
Correct.
And we can say got enough until December, and we can go in there and put in they've got 1st of December they're due.
Correct.
For the repeat.
Now, the other nice thing is instructions regarding medicine. Now, care instructions are different, but any instructions regarding medicine will have notes here that get printed on the label, right? And so you can either, instructions. Take 1 capsule twice daily with water. This is written in inventory, and it's a default. But if you want to change it on the spot, and don't
sure.
heavy machinery, right?
Yeah, sure.
You can do that.
You can edit that there. And just number of repeats. Is there if I've because this is a single record, this isn't changing any kind of background settings. So if I've in this instance dispensed 3 repeats as opposed to sometimes I dispense 1, is there somewhere that it can be recorded there, like say quantity? That's quantity. I'm just seeing, is this a refill?
So for example, if I want to do 3 refills until whatever date, right? And I'm just going to put December 31st. So 3 refills on that time, right? Sure. So now this is going to create a record here. It is creating let me close this out of here, a reminder here for cephalexin. I just, picked a arbitrary.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
And then it'll say here 3 remaining. Now so when I go into refill again, I find this record. I go, to new refill, right? And it's going to then leave me. Notice that refill is not an option here. And it's going to, and then the patient record will say 2 refills.
Okay, once that one's generated.
Correct. Now, what's going to be nice is this has been a gap in the software, not pointing out right away, because what most of our clinics do is this. Our clinics will do this and say, they'll add a note and say, cephalexin, 3 refills. And they'll have it pop up, right, as hey, here it is. And then when, they come and get their next refill, you go to, right here, you can edit this and then say, now they're down to, 2 refills.
Right. Okay. So they'll do it manually.
Except that we recognize it can be done better. So later in the year, we're going to have, we're redoing the patient view. Mm-hmm. So what this means is, let me refresh this. Right now, you see everything chronologically, but there's also, from an engineering perspective, there's more space over here. There's a lot of space. And so it's going to have a kind of an extra screen that kind of, just like I do this, you see how more information comes out?
Yeah, it's like a drop
down. It'll have the same thing over here, and it'll have vitals, weight, the most important one, weight, and then refills. And it'll have this information right here. So instead of having to look here and say, there's 2 refills, it'll actually be up here on this bar. There'll be like a new window.
Right. Cool.
Let
Okay.
me know we're building that. And I hope that makes sense.
So can I just ask, you mentioned most clinics do what you just showed.
Right.
Is that something that we need to be doing for us to keep track? Or can we go into the record? Where were you before when you showed us the...
Right. So, or you can go into the record, and let me show you this, is, for example, a little trick in Vetter or computer speak is, okay, so we have this big, long page here, right? And I don't want to have to scan it for refills. So what a lot of people do is, right, you use the Control F function, the search function. And
Control find, yeah.
That works for Macintosh, or I think it's Command F for, or it's Control F for Mac for PCs.
That's right. And it's yeah.
And then I just do this refill, and I come to here and it automatically highlights it for you.
Right, and it's searching that page.
Correct. And that's fine as you're seeing clinics, as you're seeing clients, right, and patients for, the beginning of their care with you. But if they have, like, and this is an extreme example, if they've got 94 pages of records, finding refills can be tedious, right?
Sure.
Now, that's rare. It's rare that you're not going to be able to find the refill on the first page.
But I'm pretty sure if you go with that little, it's got up arrow up where you've typed refill.
Yeah.
You go up and down. You can just click down and it selects the next one.
It will only go to what's on this page, because the page doesn't.
Right.
Because what happens is this in programming. If we had this, we added what's called pagination. If we added pagination here, and let's say it was an older animal, and they literally have, and they do, 50 pages of records. It takes so long to load this, right? It just, you're familiar with the website, just keeps going and going.
Yeah.
It's odd that it would not be on the first page, but in other words, to improve that, though, that's why we're going to add it so it's right in front here. Because it would require a fair amount of records for them to get past the first page before they have a refill, right? But just in case, that's why we're adding this feature, and you might have to go to page 2 if need be.
Sure.
Now, one other way we can do reminders, and since we're here, if it's on an ad hoc thing, let's just say you see the animal, you're like, gosh darn it, I got to see you Friday, right? And I'm not going to bother, I'm going to see you Friday, and I want you to know this right away while the client's in front of me. Just come here and say, okay, and I'm pulling from whatever's in my inventory. I assume an examination of some sort, yes, is in there, and I need to see you, right away on Friday, right? And then, I have 3 weeks out. That's how I'd set up my inventory. No problem. You say, I need to see you right away on Friday. Boom. And in this case, right, the default email is, hey, this is an appointment, right? It's a medical item out of inventory. And you can just, as a default, do this, right? And that means the software is going to send an email in 2 days to remind them, so it pops up right here, Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Good. It's just another way to remind. And again, since I'm going kind of out of order here, but we're looking at the patient.
Okay.
We're looking at the patient here. When people hit view reminders, they're like, a lot of times they're like, whoa, what do you mean there's 3 Bordellas going out? What is this? Well, this is the inventory part of things. We can create multiple reminders, right, for items. Like in this, like vaccinations are so important. So here's that default 1 week. That's just going out. And then I also added a second reminder for 3 days. It's item specific.
Sure.
And a lot of clinics do this for vaccines. They even remind after it's due, just in case you missed it, right? And so sometimes people are like, hey, why are there all these, And as soon as you administer the item, right, as soon as you give it, it cancels itself out. So that's not a problem. But people wonder, why are there 3 reminders here? Rabies, why do I have 3? Well, or Bordetell here, because it's so darn important. I want the client to get multiple. And if it's email, it doesn't cost you anything. So why not?
Okay. Cool. I have a question. Have you got something else just on that train of thought, or I can backtrack one?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So when we were doing the scripts and the repeats, I'm sure you will tell us, but basically I currently generate the scripts in a Word document.
Okay.
And then I save them as a PDF and I email the PDF out so people can't easily steal my signature.
Got it.
So, and then I keep all my patient records in my computer hard drive.
Okay.
So I search, current patients, I look under the patient name and I open a subfolder that I've got scripts.
Right.
And then I've got fluoxetine 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'll go to the latest one and then I edit that one and resave it as fluoxetine number 6.
Yep.
So then I know what's my latest one that I've written.
Okay.
And then I generate it in Word. I adjust it if required. I adjust the repeats. I save it. Then I save it again as a PDF. And then I email that PDF out. That's currently what I'm doing.
Okay. And
so where do we go in terms of transitioning from what I'm currently doing to better?
Okay, sure. That is those are templates. We're going to give you a much easier way to do this.
That's fine.
Let me just briefly finish with configuration.
When I finish that, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. Yep.
And then we'll go to that next. That was my plan.
Cool.
And again, whatever you want to put down here, obviously you're going to put Australia, right? It's going to adjust the area code or the country code right away for numbers and just the to Aussie dollars. And then you have again, whatever you want to put here, it's up to you. Session timeout. A lot of times clinics start off with, this means it'll time out after 2 hours. And clinics call us and say, it kicked me out of the software. Well, that's because you had a 2-hour timeout session. You get to pick that. There are 2 ways to view the schedule. If you're the sole provider for the time being, I would use the classic view. If you use what's called the list view, this is kind of, it's useful if you have more providers. If you have a lot of providers on the screen, what it's going to do is it's just going to show by kind of like here. Oh, this is just the provider. What
I see what you mean.
Going? This is Matt. What does he have going? Nothing.
Okay.
Versus the other view is here. In other words, here it puts the providers on the y-axis versus the other view puts the providers on the x-axis.
Okay. We had a question about how we can make it default view to a week.
So when you
Not yet possible, but coming later.
Okay.
So default to a day, but that is something that is we are building because we've had a lot of requests.
It's on your list.
Right. We have a lot of requests for that.
That's okay. And then the other question was, can we shrink the calendar so it fits the whole workday in one view?
No. Unless, of course, you shrink your screen like I'm doing here, which is,
but then it makes everything smaller.
Makes everything smaller, which is...
we were just going to see if we can fit, between 9 and 6 p.m. or 9 and 5 p.m. in one view.
No, the reason these are all things that's part of a schedule enhancement because for our 24-hour clinics, it suddenly makes it impossible, right?
I just meant it's an option. So if we weren't a 24-hour hospital, that we can shrink it so it just makes it easier for us. I understand if you've got 10-minute appointments, you've got heaps of them, you don't want to be, you want to have them nicely laid out and scrolling is great. But if we don't have as many or we have longer appointments, I just was wondering if that was an option.
No,
that's fine.
And you're right, not as yet, but the main reason is because a lot of these clinics have little 10-minute appointments, right? And it's
too much, I understand. Yeah, but if there was a drag, if you could drag from the bottom, I don't know how technologically that's possible or not, but drag from the bottom to shrink that calendar view would be great.
You'll be, let's put it this way, later in the year when that's built, you will be, including the staff here at Vetter, we will be very happy about this.
Cool.
we're also planning, it's on the calendar, to have a Google Calendar integration too.
That was going to be another question for us.
That's well, see, the problem is Google Calendar has spoiled everyone. And so it's become the standard, right, for everybody. But then
it's just, it's only because, like, on your phone, for example, you've got, and this was going to be our question, is like, if I'm doing something of my own privately, so say I'm feeding the baby, hopefully not babies, upstairs, and I want to know what's happening today, and I want to quickly have a look on my phone rather than opening my laptop and whatever else. I know I can have Vetter on my phone, but I always have my Google Calendar on there as one of my pages, and I have my personal appointments and then the vet appointments. So it'd be great if I could see.
Trust me, it would be, it will solve a lot of problems.
That's coming.
It is on the board to be built. Now, the problem is I say Google has always, Google's resources and genius have basically spoiled the world. And so all the smaller softwares who don't have, $83 billion lying around, we're like, it's not as easy to build as you would think. The other impediment is, right, Google knows. A lot of people are like, hey, I integrate my Google Calendar with my personal. Yes, but that's good, but you're not a business. So this would be an enterprise-grade integration, which means Google's going to charge us, right, for all the calendars. Right, all the calendars that are being managed. So there's a lot of factors that go into.
Yeah, sure. That's fine. No problem. Okay, back to settings.
I've got another question for you before we move on there, Matt.
Yes.
Yep. With regards to your providers, so you've got Matt and Seiji.
Yeah.
We've got vets like Nella doing vet work and vet behaviour, but we've also got trainers. Is it something where we can have trainers as providers as well?
You can have as many people. You can have as many people on the schedule as you wish.
My question is, they don't have to have the vet status to be.
No, not at all. So all they need is that simple option right here under staff, right? And they can have any role they wish, or any role you desire, is display on schedule up to you. It could be the groomer, right, or what have you.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Sure. So now in configurations, there's another layer, because there's so many, as the software grows, be aware, there's another layer. And so the big thing is, let's say I want to make, that's going to matter here, clinic hour. Use a lot of these things are just viewing things. But as you build this, a couple things you want to do. Appointment types. Call them whatever you wish. Make them as long or short as you wish. And
I've pretty much mastered all that, Matt.
Good. Perfect.
That's done.
Good. Payment types. Right?
Okay.
You can they're the default ones here, and you can add as many or as few payment types as you wish. Now, one little thing in Vetter is, in case you just kind of learn the lexiconography would be the right word, is whenever you see the 3x3 grid, you can move things around. Notice the cursor becomes like these little crosshairs.
Yes.
That say, hey, Visa should be first. The reason I bring this up is because certain payment types are more common than others. And so a lot of times if clinic staff are in a hurry, they'll just press return and they'll go right through it. And then all of a sudden they'll call us and say, hey, we meant that to be a cash payment. Can you change that? And while we do that, is just be aware this is a nice little editing feature that you can use.
Now, one of the reasons that we want to hold off using inventory in Vetter is because we're hoping to wait until you have your credit card payment option, that one that integrates with Vetter in the US but not internationally yet.
That's Card Connect, but I can't control how fast they develop. Trust me, they want to do this as quickly as possible. But you would still use whatever you're using. That's okay. Process the payments however all Vetter's doing is recording the payment type. Right.
We've got an FPOS. I've just remembered that we did sort an FPOS machine out. So we've got an FPOS machine, so we can take on the issue is digitally for us. So at the moment, when I send a Xero invoice, they have the option to pay by PayPal or so that's why. And I know from Veta, if I generate an invoice, unless I send them a PayPal link, they won't have a credit card payment option online.
Right.
Does that, yeah, as
so
far as I...
So what you would do, you would not send that. So in other words, the invoice is recorded here and whatever, here's an invoice. We come here, they owe $39.06. We just come here and, you know, I would, look, when we do like the flow of how the product should work, this is not checking somebody out. This is just collecting payment. I always like to differentiate. We view billing as a place to manage payments, returns, credits, refunds, etc. We prefer to check clients out. That's done from the schedule.
Sure.
But just for this example, to answer your question, hey, you know, they paid via PayPal and you're processing it and you process it on PayPal and there's, you know, you're not going to email anything. You're just going to hit save and done. And then all that Vetter is doing is recording it, right? While you're swiping the card on PayPal or what have you.
Sure.
And you don't need to mail them anything. You don't need to mail them the invoice or anything, but it's tracked in the tracked in the client file.
I understand. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, so the reason we're kind of hanging off doing the inventory, because at the moment when I bill something, I obviously has to come out of the inventory.
Right.
So, and the inventory's in Xero at the moment. So, you know, if I try and bill out of Veta, even if I put the inventory in, I wouldn't have those payment options like for credit cards online, and a lot of people pay us ahead of the consultation time. So we ask for people to pay ahead.
Oh, you can do that. You can do that in Vetter, but you can. What you do is you come here and you hit. It's a little trick, and you say, hey, they're coming in for new payment, right? And so let's say this is I don't know, I'm gonna make this up here, Homer Simpson, and this then comes. Sorry, just a second here. Maybe I'm doing this. Oh, here it is. It's we need to improve this feature, but so they accept payment in advance. You come in here and say, oh, it's a deposit, and it might be a $50 deposit. And I will admit that this is not the best process because then what happens is the client has an account. In other words, it'll look like a credit. It'll say credit for, you know, future services.
Yeah, sure. That's
right. And so it'll be then it'll be a credit. Now this is something else we're cleaning up. So it's not the, you know, and let's just say they paid you via whatever credit card. So now the client's going to have a $50 credit. See, it sits right here. So that when there's an open invoice, and I'm sure there's an open invoice from Homer Simpson. Sure enough, here, you know, here's one. I would come to here and I can go ahead and say, okay, let's apply those credits. Let's view the credits. Here it is. I want to apply the credit against the balance, and I'm still going to end up with a credit, right? $50, and boom, now, you know, payment's been received, the credit's been applied, right, of $13.52. The client still has $36.48 on their account, and that's always been. You can always see that then too on the client balance right here. Here it is. Hey, how do you get that stuff? Oh, it's the credits. Oh, I see. This was a deposit, right? For
sure.
That's how that would work. But you were right about the other things until there's an integration with with Australia. You would not send the invoices out of Vetter. You'd send them out.
Correct. And for us to send the invoice, it requires us to send the inventory, what we're invoicing, hence why we're not putting the inventory in yet. My sub-question to that is, if we found that the Card Connect was going to take any longer, you know, going to be prolonged, do we change all of our Xero information into QuickBooks, which you guys do see.
I would. Well, the advantage again that would have nothing to do with Card Connect, but I think the advantage of using the QuickBooks integration is then it's all tied together with Vetter.
I think this is because I would imagine QuickBooks will be similar to Xero, where I can generate an invoice and I can give them the options of credit card payment online through QuickBooks.
Yes, it does. Absolutely.
That's the benefit. That's the feature that obviously I need to have is them. How do they click somewhere and go and pay online rather than ringing us and giving us a card number?
Right. So if it were if in a perfect world there was the integration, right?
Yep.
With Card Connect for Australia, it would look like this. I'm gonna email an invoice to myself here.
Yep.
And he has that's my email address there. So now it's mailed. Great. It's recorded the client communication history. I come to my Vetter account or my Vetter Gmail account, and there it is.
That's it. That's what clients currently get.
Right. They get this, and then you can, by the way, customize this.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah. And then when they click on that, they can say pay now, and then it gives them options.
Pay now, and then But without the Card Connect integration, you can then bill out of QuickBooks.
Out of QuickBooks. But what I'm just wondering is if we use QuickBooks, so say we move our inventory to QuickBooks instead of Vetter, and we move the client details as well, or sync client details. If we were using QuickBooks in that way, could we, how does the syncing process work? Like say they got an email, I'm in QuickBooks, I've got my inventory in there, I've selected a client, I've said create a new invoice, I select the items, I click save, I click email invoice through QuickBooks.
Yeah.
They click on the pay now button, they enter their credit card details, that payment comes through.
Correct.
That payment is approved. Now, when it syncs with, so I assume the syncing process with Vetter would record that. Is that correct?
Sort of. So here I'll show you exactly what it does. The QuickBooks integration, it does it every hour. It transfers all of those things, but it does not go, it's not bi-directional. So QuickBooks, the fact that an invoice was paid in QuickBooks does not carry over to Vetter.
Okay, in that case, there's no point doing QuickBooks. That's fine. That's what I wanted to know.
Oh, okay. Well, okay, but
I guess it's just for us, because obviously it's double entry, but it doesn't matter for now until the card.
The steps are the same. You would, for both of them, the steps are the same. You would add a payment type that says, in this case, 0, right?
Yeah.
You'd enter that. That'd be my payment type.
Yeah.
And then when you process invoices, you would just choose that in Vetter. It's just recording the payment, and you send it out as 0 to get actually.
So whether it was QuickBooks or Xero, we would be doing the same process.
Correct. Yes.
Okay, so that's fine. So I just wanted to know, is there any benefit of us switching to QuickBooks in terms of a two-way integration? But if there's not a two-way, there's no.
Sorry, can I just clarify in a different way? You're saying you would bill through Vetter and send them through QuickBooks?
No, you're recording the payment, any invoice, right? Because you want this data for your reports. So let me.
So you're saying you're coming from a point where all your inventory is in Vetter and you're billing in Vetter.
Yes, because the billing, you want that information here. You want to see, for example, average client transaction, your daily transactions details. You want this information here. I mean, these are very in-depth, vast.
And so when you go to pay it in Vetter, you hit QuickBooks as the option.
Exactly, or Xero. So I come to here, right? I'm going to grab an invoice.
I have to generate the invoice out of Xero to send it to them. This is the problem, is that while I could have inventory in Vetter and click select payment type 0, how does the client actually get that invoice?
And that's where it's integrated with QuickBooks, isn't it?
Okay, but
No.
QuickBooks, please understand, QuickBooks has nothing to do with how you bill your client. So look, every clinic has its payment.
Sorry to be complicated.
But every clinic has its payment processor, right? We have Card Connect, but we still have, 90. I'll probably say 85% of our clinics use, they still use their own payment processor, whatever that may be, right? And they add those.
Manual one, you mean like an
FPOS terminal?
Yeah, or PayPal or Visa or whoever their processor is, right? Who's providing the terminal, right? All you're doing in Vetter is recording it. I want this recorded for the record. Yes, and what payment type I use, right? It could be Visa, right? But it's just being processed by a different payment processor.
Yeah, I understand. I think I understand the recording process. What we're trying to figure out is the flow.
Yeah. Do we bring all our inventory into Vetter, and how do we use QuickBooks or Xero to process that payment if the inventory is in Vetter?
Okay, the inventory, again, these are separate things. You need to bring your inventory.
We will get there, I promise.
Sorry, it's okay. You need to bring your inventory into Vetter, or you cannot create a charge. You cannot create a record. It is an absolute, unequivocal must. You have to have inventory in.
I understand. Yeah. So we've obviously without inventory, you've got nothing to charge. Yeah, exactly.
And you can't track or manage anything. So that simply has to happen.
Okay, so say we create a bill in Vetter through the inventory that's in stock in Vetter. So we create that. Then we want to record a payment, right? That payment may have been made through whatever system you're saying that we use as our payment. Correct. Now, the issue that I'm stuck on is, at the moment, with Card Connect not being available for us, for people to pay online with a credit card, there is no option.
Correct.
Okay, so that's basically, this is what we're trying to just clarify.
Yeah.
And I guess work out if there is any benefit of using QuickBooks versus
the only benefit there would be is that you would have and this is something I would ask your accountant, the only benefit there would be is that you're porting all financial transactions into QuickBooks. Because Vetter's not an accounting program, right? QuickBooks is. And to have all of that data in there.
Reconciliation. Oh, it's all the reconciliation I do in Xero every day.
And the accountants love this stuff. The integration, they love it. But neither integration solves your dilemma of sending out a bill and collecting for it.
Okay, cool. Okay. Just a benefit. I'll take I get that. That's awesome. I think we're okay with that. I just want to go now ask about QuickBooks integration with what the accountants like. I'm just reading off your page there. This integration transfers client inventory and billing records, including invoices, payments, credits, and refunds, into your QuickBooks online account on an hourly basis. So are you saying if we enter a payment record into a client, that's going to sync to the client record in QuickBooks?
Yes.
And what about inventory? What does that say about inventory? Is the inventory going to be in both places?
Yes, and we have to do that when we map your inventory, right? In other words, when we map Vetter's inventory into QuickBooks and Vetter's your client base into QuickBooks, there's like a little asterisk next to it, so you know which one is Vetter, right? Because otherwise you'd have two Neela Grahams in there. It maps the two, and that's purely to get all the information you need into there.
Okay.
In terms, like you said, though, sending them an invoice with a pay now option, that unfortunately has to be done separately.
Okay, so I have a connection that between the two questions that I had now that I think might answer something if it can. So it says this integration transfers client inventory and billing records from Veta to QuickBooks. Is that correct?
Yes.
So if we have our inventory in Veta and we create a bill or an invoice, whatever you want to call it.
Correct.
And they now owe $200.
Right.
That will sync. So when we create that invoice, does that mean that it will take the inventory stock off Veta because it's now been created as an invoice? We've given the client the medication. So it'll minus it off our inventory by 1 or whatever.
Yes.
Does that mean it will also minus it by 1 in the inventory in QuickBooks?
Yes.
Okay, so theoretically we could use QuickBooks and because it's integrating one way and we have the inventory in both places.
Correct, except that it's not going to record purchases.
Oh, no, I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Or when you make adjustments, I spilled 10 mLs, right? You make an adjustment. That does not transfer over.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Sure.
So
okay.
Inventory, we use it primarily for mapping purposes.
Right. Not for tracking.
Not in QuickBooks. No.
Okay, that's fine. All right. I think we'll leave it as 0 for now because we're used to using 0 for invoicing and for our inventory, and then we'll just review in a couple of months' time or whenever you give us an update on what's going on with Card Connect. Otherwise.
Okay.
Sorry to have sidetracked.
No, it's okay because you're going to ask these questions regardless. I want to get back to your original, I think not original, but question about, script and templates. So
yes.
This is the important part here. Well, it's all important, but this is more important than I would say others. You have Invetter, and we just added a brand new feature today. So I get to show it off, and I haven't mastered it yet, but we have basically 4 kinds of templates. We have bundles. It's bundling items and services together, so you don't have to add charges individually. Yep. We have letters, right? Care instructions, anything you want. We have what's called content snippets or pre-formatted content that you could drop into any free-form text area, just saves you the record. And then medical notes. Now, should you ever get to the point of, hey, I want to do wellness plans, right?
Yeah, sure.
That's separate. And custom fields, that's part of the medical note. So let me do the easy things first. The easiest one is content snippets. And this is probably the most widely used feature in Vetter, well, just because humans by nature, well, everybody by nature, we're a little lazy. And I don't want to have to write out what a flea allergy is every single time. And why does this say Merry Christmas? Goodness. Okay. Let's get rid of that. Because my colleagues, people mess with each other, right? They come in here. And all I did is I copy-pasted this from the Merck Vet Manual, which will always access right up here. And so whatever, under care instructions, you make a bunch of these. You copy-paste them off your Word documents. You copy, paste, or copy-paste and hit save. That's it. Yeah. And there are clinics who literally have 100 of these, right? So it's just very easy to do and very useful, okay? And the nice thing, too, is if you include a hyperlink, it will show up to the client. It will show up as a clickable hyperlink.
Okay, question there is, I'm sure you're going to mention it, but when we're typing the template, is there a code or do you just start typing flea allergy and it comes up?
When you're in there, it has an option for snippet. And you drop down and then you choose the snippet that you want. When you're in the
right. Okay, cool.
You win. You're winner, chicken dinner.
Look at that. That actually had a go at it.
Nice, exactly. You don't have to copy paste, and you just drop these in. And so while we're at it, if there were let me jump to a medical note and show you. And I have seen clinics with literally 100 of these. Let me find a medical note here. Here we go. And in the note itself, if I wanted to drop in, like right here, template content, right? And let's say this was a really long list. Again, you just type, use, right?
Okay.
Yeah, feline. Sometimes these lists can go really long. So
Sure.
It's really easy to navigate. That's where you drop it in. And you can drop these into your letters too. So coming back to our letters.
Can I ask you, sorry, while you're in that page, before you go out of that page, is Veta looking at having the option of actually not having to do that extra step of searching it, but actually just start to type flea allergy? Or hashtag flea allergy, and then it comes up? You know how like as a pre-format, so you don't actually have to search, copy and paste or select?
No. You're not copy pasting, right? You'd come to here anyhow. And it's not because, I'll be honest, in the things that we have to build first.
That's okay. It's not a priority.
This is not a priority. I'll be honest.
That's okay. Yeah.
It'll be honest.
All of the time.
The wish list of what people want, it's like Santa Claus. We have to dole it out.
That's okay. You have to prioritize it.
Not a priority to build that.
Sam had a question there. Can you select multiple at once, or in that drop section, or do you go one by one?
No, you can't. I wish I was able to say yes to some of these things.
That's okay. We're challenging you.
No, you can't, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And I've this is another ask, because I know, like, you can hit the shift key, for example, and hit multiple items. It's a computer trick, but not as of yet.
Okay, cool. No worries. Just so we know.
Okay. Now that's the easy one. I would put bundles as the next easiest. Yeah. And bundles are kind of self-explanatory. So let me just take Canine Wellness Exam here. And so, for example, right, I can add, you see the price, you see everything here. It's very simple. I add what I think will be in a commonly used bundle. Now, bundles are never restrictional. You can always still add this whole bundle to a patient record and say, well, they don't need the Rimadyl.
Sorry, you're in Canine Wellness, and that is the bundle. Right.
That's the one I made.
Yeah. I didn't realize. I thought that each individual was a bundle.
Right. No. And so I don't know. Let's just say I add, let's add, what can I add in there? Let's just Lepto or something. Right. Oh, we need to add this too. Right. Now, what it does, it takes the default price from inventory. Although you can always change the price and say, no, I'd rather custom price this.
Sure.
And do I print on invoice? Yes or no? And I'll give you an example where this matters. Yeah. Don't worry about actions right now, because that's a part of inventory training.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. And I can add these things. Now, what happens is maybe you say, hey, summer special, Canine Wellness is only $299 or what have you. And so clinics will go in here and say, well, I need to get from $250, I need to reduce that by $153, right? To have that special bundle price. And you can come in here and just go, hey, change the custom price. I need to knock off $153, which leaves this with 97. Yeah. And that does not change the inventory price, right? It is still standalone that. But if you're bundling it together and want to create a summer special, hey, it's $99, right? Whatever you wish. Now, bundles become, in terms of printing, they become really valuable when you're working with, let's see here, euthanasia, spay neuters, where all you're changing is, right, the amount of the dosage. Nothing else changes. So you can start to break these apart, right? Hey, great, less than 50, greater than 75, right, what have you. And bundles also allow for a bit of discretion. These options of print on invoice, right? Nobody wants to see the amount of, mLs used to put their animal down, right? Yeah. So it's not here. It's not on here, right? The only thing they're going to see is euthanasia and cremation.
Yeah.
Right? And it's also for fees. Hey, I want to add fees. You can always choose not on invoice, right?
Sure.
Here I even have sent, for example, anytime this is administered, what I did was I sent a reminder, or I created a task for myself that said, hey, send condolence email. And in a year, and I made that for a year later. So don't print on invoice. For example, if I look at my tasks, and that's for next time too. If I look at my task, and this is auto-generated, I assign this task. For example, I assign this task to this bundle.
Yes.
Actions, send condolence email, right? Sure. And then I come to here and I look at my tasks, and I say assign to me. Or if I have a task, I have one. Obviously, I didn't do my tasks. I have another one on August 8th, and then so every time I just access ahead, and I know this one. Hey, already for next year. So when I come in on May 3rd, this will pop up and say you have a task.
Yes, sure.
And so you can do a lot with bundles because they automate bundles and inventory automate these processes.
Cool. Awesome.
Okay. And that's the way. And and there are a lot of clinics. Oh, bundles are a pain in the butt. You know what? Even if it's only 2 items, office visit, and I don't know, Dr. Neela's smile, or whatever you want to put. Bundle everything, because why would you want the extra clicks?
Yeah, and I think that were you going to go into mentioning that while somebody can go in and manually change the price, there's a way that we can change the bundle price and
right. So you can change the bundle price. Oops, sorry, that was the wrong item. Oops, let me go to a bundle here. You can change the bundle price. So here, bangs vaccination. That's for, large animals, for cows. You're right. This is ridiculously cheap, $3.10 type thing.
Okay.
Right, but of course they administer it to a herd of 500 at once.
No, that's fine. Yeah.
So what we're doing here is, if we want to edit this, for example, here's the price, right? Let's just say I want my bangs vaccination to be $2.99. Okay,
yeah.
So I'm going to knock 11 cents off of this bundle, right? The default price happens to be $3, but let's just say I customize this. And
sorry. So you're saying we do need to do that manually. There isn't a way that we can say, I couldn't remember if it was Veta or another software where you could say, well, the total price can be adjusted, and then that was the New Zealand program.
Easy Vet.
Easy Vet. No, not Easy Vet. No.
Link.
VetLink. So
okay.
VetLink had the option where if your bundle price is, say, $100, but you want to make a special,
right,
and you want to make $50, you would change that bundle price and it would go and evenly automatically adjust.
Oh, I see what you're saying. No, it's not it doesn't do that, for example. And
That's okay. So we need to do it manually.
Right. And what you can do is what clinics do over time is that they keep their bundle, they price it however they wish to price it. And maybe they have a summer special bundle, right? Because these things are, let me find a bundle here. Right. This could be your regular bundle. Then you could, just duplicate it.
Oh, that's what, so you can duplicate. Cool.
This will be my spring special bundle. And the first time it's a little bit pain in the butt to set these all up. But
yeah, that's fine. So we can say dental month, for example, and we can have a dental month special and
exactly. And if you ever wanted to change the whole bill itself, you find out what's least complicated for you. You can say, hey, we're running the dental month special, and it's regularly $29.99 type thing. You can always change the pricing in the invoice, right, by editing the item. But this is more cumbersome to do.
That's all right.
Invoice. I always say do it through the bundle.
That's fine. Yeah, no, we can do that. Yep.
Now I'm going to show you some medical notes, and then we'll come to your templates, which is the item you've been waiting for.
Yeah.
So here under soap, so we start you off with the simple, the standard, and the basic soaps. Now, we've had clinics that are hard-coded in the software. You can't do anything to them. You either use them or you don't. And when I look at people's accounts, I kid you not, like 65% of our clinics just use the ones we created, right? So, but you can create a lot here. And so if I go to create a medical note, let's just call it a new template. And I'm going to call it a companion note. Oops. And call it here, and we hit save. Now it opens up like this with a lot of blanks, right? And then you say, oh gosh, what do I want to put in here? Now I could put all of this, right? Or some of this, as much or as little as is needed. And what happened, maybe I'm just going to put a few things in here, right? And then we have a problems field, and maybe you want to see problems first, right? And I just move it. Remember when it's ever 3 by 3, you can move these things.
Okay.
And then I come, hey, to objective here, and it gets.
I think this is where we're talking about the behaviors not in here. So
wait. No. I need be happy. Well, be happy.
Sorry, I'm not jumping the gun at all.
Right. So I can add. I just want to show I can add as much or as little as we wish.
Cool.
Okay. So vitals, right? Do I want?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Get the idea. Now, a couple of things. On assessment, always put diagnoses down. I don't know why people don't include the diagnoses, because these are then we have reports that track diagnoses and everything.
Sure.
Always add that in there. And we added a whole new section. This is part of it. A diagnostic testing. Now you can add, for example, I added blood tests earlier today.
Cool.
You can add as much of these things as you want. Plus we have the whole holistic component, right? It just goes on and on. So now this is how you build notes. So now let's take your example here. Okay, I'm going to get rid of the vitals here just to keep it clean. And let's have a client. Boom, we'll have that in there. We'll have the plan, right? And okay, so now I'm going to hit save. Now, you say, gosh darn it, Vetter, I want the consult thing you were talking about.
Yeah.
All right, let's look at today's brand new feature. So bear with me. I've just started using it today. So that's what I knew you'd be excited by this. I didn't want to say anything until now.
Oh.
So now, what do we want as a custom field? Oh, wait, let's do this. Sorry, I'm just learning this here.
That's okay.
You called it what? Behavior?
Behavior consult.
Okay. And this it'll be a custom field. Now, where do you want it to be?
Sorry.
So it would be more like.
Sorry, it would be the main.
So I can put that into any of the medical fields. The medical.
Right.
Fields.
Oh, right. So no. So it wouldn't.
Be reactivity.
So, for example, the title would end up being.
Nosophobia.
No. That's diagnosis. No. Title would be.
Frequency of behavior.
Say frequency. Behavior frequency, or problem behavior 1, problem behavior 1, problem behavior 2, something like that. So let's go problem behavior.
Let's do this. And you would call the note, right? Behavior consult note or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Let's say we would put this into.
That would go in the history section. So that's subjective.
Subjective, okay.
Yeah.
And it would go into the history. Perfect.
Yeah.
Now, what do you want? You can even add values. You can add positive, negative.
Yes. So problem behavior. So we have like sub-points in terms of, so problem behavior 1 would be, what the client perceives as the problem, or the frequency, duration, and intensity of the behavior.
Okay, so let's just call it, I'm just going to say you could add multiple fields here. Let's just call it intensity. I just want to show how values, what values would you use for intensity?
Severe.
Or mild, moderate, severe, say, for example.
Okay, it's always be optimistic. And
first. Moderate and severe, for example.
Okay.
Yep.
So, boom. Okay, we got them on now. So check this out. So, boom. Now I've created a bunch of these. And again, they can always be edited.
That's fine,
and
yeah.
Now I'm going to jump back to your note, the Calm Companion note, and let us go to the subjective part here and say, where is it? Problem behavior intensity. Now, watch this.
Tick box. How cool is that?
See?
You've made our day.
It's a virtue.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's why I was like, wait.
Yeah, cool. I was like,
you've made us very, very happy.
Good. And you can do this this is a game changer for our clients. And you know the weekly emails I send out, this is what's going out next. Cool. But I did this my third training today. And so I wanted to master it through. You guys are my guinea pigs. And I wanted
that's right. So that's great because we can
master it. So I'm going to explain this in the email.
That's fine.
This is now, you can imagine, now you could put in, for example, diagnoses tests, right? How many, whatever, heartbeats, millimeters per second, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, we can do whatever specific.
Right, because those value fields, you can just add a bunch, right?
And then you've got a text box next to it so you can quantify it there.
Right, exactly. Then you can quantify it with notes right here.
Cool.
Is
there a limit to the notes wording in that bar?
No. It auto expands.
Cool. Okay, great.
It'll just grow with whatever you put in there.
Some changing to do.
Shannon's been playing around with our template.
Sorry, Shannon. So just sorry down here.
Don't apologize. That's going to be so good.
I'm happy. Good. I'm definitely happy.
Good, and I'm really excited too because today I was showing someone for the diagnostics. We did blood tests, values and things, and I guess just kind of making them up to pulse per minute.
With that, can we remove any of the ones that we don't normally use on that diagnostics? Can we get rid of them as listed there?
You can't get rid of these because the software applies to everyone equally.
And it's only while you're building the
like this, though, right? You can just remove them that way.
Yeah, you only see these while you're building a template.
Exactly. You only see them like that. So when you're in the note, all you see is in the appointment.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
It's a little bit OCD.
Oh no, I'm with you, but
it's okay.
It would freak more people out. I get that.
No, it's not going to be an everyday thing. It's not like it's always coming up.
It's all good.
Now, what I recommend, what happens is, no lie, the first note is going to take you a half hour or so or plus to build. Once you build that first note, though, duplicate it. One is the senior dog note. One is the
magical button.
Right. The senior feline behavior consult note or what have you.
Right. Yeah. So it's practically the same. We just did make small adjustments.
Exactly. So the first note is, I always say, right, that's the pain. But once you get past it, once you master this, then it becomes incredibly useful. And you can add pre-formatted content. Now, before, clinics used to add, put in normal, not normal. Now you can use the custom field to add normal, not normal.
Sure.
And you can still add pre-formatted content. Maybe there's questions. Maybe Dr. Neela, you take on an intern one day and you want to, want to prompt staff,
right.
Be sure to ask about, I don't know.
XYZ. Yeah, that's fine.
XYZ, right. And then you're in the note. You can still delete this when you're in the note, but you can prompt yourself with
Sure. Cool.
I like that.
Okay. So can I just take one step back and see how this fits into the bigger picture of I'm in a schedule, client comes in, I've created because I know we're just getting used to your terminology of like medical record versus medical note versus, whatever. Invoice
like records, or what we call invoice, you call records.
So
what the whole planet calls it invoices and we call it records. It's okay. That's my joke. The whole planet calls it that. We call it records.
Yeah, because you guys live on a different planet. I get it. I think that's very true. Not for you, but for US.
No, I don't mean US. I mean in the sense that
Veta.
all the Vetter just calls them records. That's our thing.
Oh, right. Okay. So
when
not
the whole planet. Okay. I mean the whole planet.
Okay, so if we go back to schedule, do you guys mind if we do that?
Okay.
Yeah, just
but first, I'm going to show you. I'm going to integrate this all. You trust me on this, please. Let me show you the letters.
Okay, cool.
Yes, I'm going to integrate that right straight through the flow. Okay.
Okay, great.
So we're going to view letters here, and I'm going to take a. What do we have here? A consent form. Really easy. Now I'm going to take a consent form. Everything in here, right, operates off a mail merge format. It just pulls it. You guys know what that means. It's just pulling it anywhere in from the software.
Yeah.
Right? If I simply say, I hereby give consent for clinic name, right? Perform surgery on my pet, and I add these things in here. And notice content snippets can be added anywhere too, right? Anywhere there's free form text. Now, this allows for a lot of information to be put in. Once you add your signature will show up, right? Now, you can do other things with this. Let's just say, for example, this has all kinds of editing capabilities. This is really important, and I want this to be in red,
Cool.
Boom, and I want it to be, italicized or what have you, and I want, I want this to be all, I don't know, left justified or here. No, I mean complete, total, whatever.
There's a lot of formatting options. Yeah, right. Cool.
You can do a lot, and also, do you ever use anesthesia monitoring sheets?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so here's how you build these. Just show you these. You start off with a table, and you just say, gosh, let's just make it a, 4 by, this grid here. And then you'd start here and say, item, dosage, time, notes. And, I can then, and I can then, make these nice and pretty and do things like this. And, I can come in here and say, wait, I don't need that extra column. So I use these features here. Let's delete this column.
Cool.
And, and then I can add on to here and say, gosh, I will need more fields, right? So I'm going to insert a row, right? Cool. And then I'm going to repeat this and keep going. And this is and then you bring this up, you pull this up in the medical note. And then this is what people use for anesthesia monitoring. And you can say, gosh, I want the table to be, I want there to be a thicker border, or so it's more visible. And, you can do all kinds of cool, I guess that's going to be Shannon's job. All kinds of those little things.
Yeah, cool. Okay.
Now, one other factor in real life to show you something. Here, it's just pulling from, I would say, default information. It doesn't know if it's in a medical note. It doesn't know whether it should pull these things. So you can I build a separate one. And what I do is I come here. I'm going to go to this guy's medical note, Azreal here. And let's just say I'm going to put let me just put some numbers in here, and please ignore.
That's okay.
The validity. 78 Celsius is really bad, I guess. And, I just put this in here and say, hello, calm companions. Okay. Now, I'm going to add a medical note, a letter from here. New letter. Now, I can add that consent form, right? They can sign on the spot there and everything using a tablet. I'm going to pull up my exam discharge letter. And I'm going to make the owner here, Azreal Gargamel. Or you send it to a referring physician, right? Let's say he was referred to us by Dr. Seuss, and get the idea, and I hit save. Now, what I did here is in the edit field here, I can add a lot more information, right? Because now I'm sitting in a medical note, and I can add all of these fields. I now have done things to the patient, and I can add these records, right? I can, I even have their reminders that I can add in. And then what I did is I save it. And now look, for example, I'm pulling in all this extra information. Why don't we pull in those vitals, right? And prescriptions, vaccines, maybe I want to see their labs too, or what have you. And now the note takes on a whole different format because it's going to pull in, hey, right? It's going to, my diagnoses, here are all the vitals. It's going to pull in, oh, here's that lab we did, right? So it's going to pull all of that in. And that makes the note, that makes it much more powerful. So you were talking about, Dr. Neela, adding instructions for people, right? And so the perfect field is down here, your instructions would be like your content snippets, right? And you could do this in settings, or you can do it from here, right? And here are my care instructions, right? And I just drop these into the note. Now, mind you can do this so it's permanent. You don't have to edit it every time. But this is where you drop in everything as a letter. Now, to come to your question, how does this all fit together in the flow, and how do I get this information to the client? Let's make a sample appointment here. Come to here. Let's do, these are all my appointment types. Let's say an annual, and I'm just going to say wellness exam. Client name is, we'll call Homer. His pet, Santa's little helper, right? And I hit next. And Homer should also have email in here. But anyhow, I'm just checking them all in here, right? These are default reminders. I mean, these are default messages, but you can customize these in settings using letter templates. And then they pull up, no problem. Okay, so he's been saved. And now he's in appointment. Now, one of the first things, he's coming in to check in. Now, it's same-day appointments, so the example's not perfect. He comes to check in, and here we go. A couple of things that you can do. Now, this is for clinics. You can choose to print
Sorry to interrupt you. I've just got to get my charger. Can you give me 5 seconds?
Sure.
Otherwise, I'll miss the important bits. Hang on.
Just with regards to the template for the letters before Matt, while Nella's gone, is there a way we could put like a letter header for our business on there?
Oh, fear not. Nothing is gone. Well, let me show you how it prints out. Automatically, whatever you have up here, right, the header comes up there. Whatever you have will print up automatically.
Okay.
It will also, whatever you have here for your address, it will print up automatically. So it's going to add all that information. And whatever you have here, it'll incorporate it too. So it'll do all that, and I'll show you how this all looks in a moment.
All right, I'm back. We're all good.
So what we're going to do here is, so it does all of this here, okay? And now one thing is that you might want to, for example, brick and mortar clinics might still use a travel sheet, or maybe you have an intake form that you want someone to fill out by paper. These are all my letter templates, right? I can print something out in the beginning. Some clinics use these, most don't. And we come to here, and I always say, always check in with an invoice. Now, if you check in with an estimate, and the estimate gets converted, it'll turn into an invoice right here. Not a problem. Okay? And you don't have to check them in with a bundle, but I always recommend checking in with a medical note. Now, and maybe, some clinics don't trust maybe the receptionist to know that, but you just simply say, hey, when I'm ready, I'll come up front, and I'll look at the animal, and I'll say, hey, I want them to be checked in with a behavior note.
Okay.
And because it has positive effects downstream. And we can always add the bundle later, or the charges, and now they are checked in. Now, mind you, all of this, what a lot of clinics do is as they grow, they have the schedule up in one, and they have the clinic census up in another. And the clinic census just simply tracks where the patients are. It's a command and control center, right?
Yep.
Hey, this is where they are. And if you get really large and you need to keep track of things, you can create these in settings where it says create rooms and configurations. You can say, oh, well,
if they've gone to treatment room or whatever. Yeah.
Now they're in exam room 2, right? It just, keeps track of all these things. Okay. So now we're going to jump into the appointment here. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. And we're going to jump into the appointment. And I jump into the appointment by going right to the medical note. Okay. Now, in this note here, right, I can go ahead and add my findings, right?
Yeah.
What have you. Here's the behavior part. And
cool.
Did I add more to that? Where are the little pull downs?
I think you said.
Oh, it's the wrong note. It was the calm companion.
Yeah, the calm companions one, I think.
Sorry, but you know what I'm getting at. It's the calm companions one.
Can you edit, just out of interest while you're there, can you go back to the appointment in the schedule?
Okay.
And would we then be able to click on that and click and edit and change the medical?
So we have to actually, on this one, we have to undo the check-in.
Sure.
We have to undo it.
That's fine.
You have to redo it.
That's okay. So if we so you can just redo it. That's okay.
Yeah, so now I'm still there. The appointment's still there. I'm going to check you in. And you go, oh, you know what? We need the calm companion note. There it is.
Yeah, that's it. Cool.
Perfect. And by the way, if they owed you money, past invoices would show up here. If there's open invoice, shows up.
Okay, cool.
And I hit save. And now we're going to go, we're going to go into the note. Oh, and by the way, the difference between hovering and clicking. I like hover, less clicks, shows you everything. Some clinics want to just click on the darn thing. Right.
Oh, right, for it to open.
That's all these things in settings.
Okay, yeah.
So come to here and good. Here it is. Yay. Yeah. Here's everything. Okay, cool. Now we're going to add some charges. Now, in a perfect world, you add that bundle in the point of check-in. You already know what they're here for. But let's just say I don't know, I'm new. I just want to, wander in and they somehow get in. You can still add the charges directly from here. You can add the bundle directly from here, right? I'm just going to do one just to, what have you, canine wellness. And it's going to have you do one. You can always see the bundle in advance, right?
Yeah,
add and remove. I can also, I bring it up just because I can add, edit, remove these things later too. And I can add the charges individually too if need be. So when it does a bundle, it takes a moment because it's creating a lot of records. A task was assigned with me to it automatically. An Antec, a lot of things just happen there, which is good. Yeah. And so now I'm looking at it here and I say, you know what? They don't need the Rimadyl today. Fine, delete it. Who cares, right? I can change. I can edit the quantity. I can add new items. I can maybe just add a single item and say new record.
Right? Edit the price manually there too, I think.
Yes, you can. Yeah. And so, by the way, the reason why these are price zero, some of these are because my little guy's in a wellness program. I'm on a wellness program, so some of the things end up as being free. Don't worry about the zeros there, but you can adjust price. You can all these things. Yeah. And I can add it. I can add a record individually too. And by the way, once you have your inventory entered, we have a dosage calculator, right? So if your staff needs to figure out dosages, I've already entered these, and it may be something where you walk up, Dr. Neela, and say, gosh, this is, I want to hit them hard with the stuff with the, with the antibiotic here. I want to hit them hard. And even though this is straight off the bottle, I took this off the bottle, you say, no, I want to hit them with 25.
Yeah, sure.
It's going to give
It works it out for you.
Yeah, it does it all, works it out for you and everything. Okay. And so, I can print right here. I can print my prescription label.
The notes section down the bottom there above attachments. What is that for?
It's for doctor use. I mean, what it may be that the client doesn't see this. Right?
Okay, that's fine. So it's things that we can
raising dosage to
That's fine.
If you look at this, 6 months later, wondering why did I raise the dosage?
That's fine because of whatever. Yeah.
Severe.
Yeah, that's okay. So it's a note for us in that dispensing, and then drop files here or click to upload. What's that?
It maybe so this maybe you took a picture of a severe infection, and you had the picture, right? Because with a tablet, the pictures sit right on the desktop.
Sure.
And you come in, you're doing an estimate or diagnosis. You're like, wow, this is a really bad cut, or I haven't seen this before, and this then automatically gets attached to the patient record, and I'm just putting them from my desktop.
Sure. Now, is this where, say, for example, I know that you're probably going to go through this and help me with regards to the scripts that I currently write in Word and do PDF. Is this where I would add them in, or would I not actually write them?
You would not add the scripts here. Well, look, if it's simple, basic instructions, you add this on the item level in inventory, and so this is what would print on the actual label.
Yeah.
Now, if you have more complex, detailed, processes, you would add them as in a letter template. And let me show you how this then we do. So all those letter templates we made.
Yep.
Excuse me. I'm going to pull up a couple of them here. I'm going to pull up the consent form. Fine, we needed them. They're going to sign for something. Boom, good. Okay, cool, yay. Right, and mind you, every item in Vetter can be, if I sign for it here,
Type it, yeah.
automatically logged. Now, everything in Vetter, invoice, medical note, etc., can be emailed, faxed, or printed. Okay, but there's a faster and more efficient way to do it. I'm going to come back to the note here, and you want to also include your care instructions. Let's add another letter, right? And I happen to have.
Is this where you're referring to a script, for example?
Exactly. This is where you copy paste your script in there and just use the mail merge format. Hi,
Cool.
dear so and so, please follow my instructions. Type thing. And I add this here, and you're gonna laugh at my patient care instructions.
Okay.
Oh no! Oh man, this is too bad. My boss overwrote it. I just wrote in here, take 2 aspirin and call me in the morning. Oh, I had it. My boss overwrote it.
That's all right. You'll have to, for the next demo, you can change it.
So for example, here it's perfect, right? It fits in. If I hit edit, right, it's going to fit in all of these things. And, this is...
So this would be my script.
Exactly. Now, damn it, that was funny. People always laugh when they saw that. Now I come back to the schedule. Hey, we've done everything. It's time to pay. This is the ideal. Think of it this way. You check them in front. You check them out front. This is the way their foot traffic goes. I hover here, and I go to checkout. Now, this same thing can be managed from, the clinic census.
Sure.
In a perfect world, you have so much business going on that one receptionist is just managing the schedule, right? And the other one is managing this process. Visit complete. I need to go. I need to be checked out, right?
Yeah.
And then you see all of this stuff here too. But what we're going to do is we're just going to focus on this here. You can always edit this here in case you're busy and, really I need to, what have you. And it's going to list any and all invoices, any and all credits. And here we go. All of our, now your guy won't be in a wellness plan, so I close this. But hey, what do we need? Patient care instructions. And you also sign a consent form. And we'd like to include our medical note too. And if there was a vaccine, we'll include this too. And reminder summary. And payment type, might be whatever, in this case, PayPal or Zero, and you're just recording it. Now, in one fell swoop, now what's cool too, if you do any vaccinations, if you forget to put any tag numbers in, and I don't know if that's required in Australia.
Yeah.
It is, okay. If you forget to put the tag number, it won't let me check out. It's going to say, bad. And the cool thing is if you add the tag number right there, it'll actually populate it in the patient record.
Cool.
Let's just do this like that. And now imagine your client's walking out. You could print this, but imagine saying, hey, please check your phone in 30 seconds after you leave. Everything you need will be right there. And in one fell swoop, but that's the email message. But I'm going to, they get has it all here, the message. I'm going to print it so you can see it. In one fell swoop, we've collected payment, and we've updated clients on reminders, all the necessary paperwork and care instructions. And I believe what was Shannon was asking about, this is how it would look. All your clinic information, your letterhead, everything, your logo would be up here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, here we go. Cool. Now that's also logged in the client file. Patient care instructions. Woohoo! Here are results. This is where you put in labs or whatever you wish, whatever script you want. Realize some pages are going to spill over into others, but that's just life. Hey, here's our vaccine certificate. And boom, 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 boom. So that's nice. We have all that right there.
Yeah.
And let's see. Oh, the tag note. Let's see. Where's my keep going here? Oh, kind of spilled over. All our reminders are right there. Right. And here it's a paid invoice. Perfect. And here's the note itself. Right. You can include as much or as little as you need. So in terms of disseminating information, all of this can be disseminated individually. Right? Hey, those care instructions, I'm jumping to my client here. Pardon me, let me jump to the client here. And I jump to Homer here. And I go to Documents. And I view letters. Right? And it's going to be stored there. And I could just as easily come to here. Right? And I could, hey, let's email that letter. Or let's print it. Or, fax it, what have you. But by doing it all from the checkout, it just makes life so much more efficient.
I love it. Now, can I ask you a question regarding from our perspective? Is there a way that I can share my screen?
Yes. No, please no. I have to go at 6 o'clock.
Oh no, that's fine. I might send you an email. I might send you an email just to ask you. Because what we have designed is a template that for our behavior record where we have like a history section and then we have from say page 4, it's the header, the main page starts again and then page 5 onwards is what actually goes to clients. Oh, you can? Okay, don't worry. Shannon says she can answer that for me. So we can talk
or you can on those. It's best if you send it to me and let me study it. If
I might do that, so you can have a look and know what I'm referring to, and then which way, whether we split it between history and letter, or whether we have it all in letter. We can talk about that.
I mean, most people don't send the medical note. I just try to know all the things the software can do because it's just superfluous because you've already mentioned it in the care instructions.
Yeah. Just one last question with regards to us entering all our patients and stuff from the from Clinico that we use now into Veta. How do you, because you guys are going to enter all that for us, aren't you?
No. We're going to do it.
Okay.
So if we export...
we can, it just costs money, but that's what we're doing.
We don't have that many. So we have maybe 100, 150. So can I ask, do we do it manually or is that what you can ask?
I can just do it manually.
Yeah. Manually, or is there a spreadsheet kind of import button?
Well, no, we can do the import, but that's one where we... it's a business model, right? This is where another spot where we have to make money where we can. So
that's fine. I'm just asking. So just there is no like multiple client entering system that we do from our end. So we just do it individually.
Correct. Now,
perfect. That's fine. I just wanted to know.
Enter the clients. Let me show you a couple things here. Okay. So we're going to come to here. Right, and important things. And I'm just going to take our Vetter address here. Price Avenue. Okay, there we are. That's us. So right away, notice the mail reminder went up. I can now send a postcard because I have an email address. Just like I can, as soon as I start typing here, right? Ooh, I can now send an email as a reminder. And I can now send, phone and text as multiple things. Sure. It's important to pay attention to those. The software will defer. Even if a client gives all four, it'll always go email first, text second, right? Mail third, because we can do that, and phone call last. Sure. And I'll show you guys how reminders work in our next session.
That's fine.
I want your inventory to be up first. Now, what's key here is, is this my mom who has, net 90, or is this, my ex whom I dislike and needs to pay due on receipt, right? Sure. You can do it that way. Yeah. And you can exempt people. You can exempt people from late fees, from statements, from taxes. Sure. And this is how you would create something. And let me show you then the easiest way to add the patient. When adding the patient, now, come here, relationships, new relationship.
Yeah, we worked that one out.
Perfect. And that's how you add them. And once you get good at this, it takes,
that's fine.
Less than a minute.
I've just got two questions, two quick ones. Your system here is set up for one owner. Often we have partners who own pets. So in the first name, do you just recommend putting in, Mr. and Mrs. and then last name Graham?
Yes. So there's two ways. Let me show this here. Two ways this could look. Let me look at Santa's Little Helper. Oops. Shoot. Let me go back to Santa's Little Helper here. It didn't like me there. Let's go. Sorry, let me go back. There's two ways to do this. One is, and some families like doing this. They bring the kids in and, Mom, Dad, can I be an owner too? Well, if you want to mollify them and do that, that's fine. And what happens is this. The person the primary with the star, that's who pays. So you theoretically could have multiple owners, but then everyone also gets the reminder emails, which can get annoying. So what you mentioned earlier is the way to go. Is I'd come to here, and what a lot of people do is they say, it could be exactly Mr. and Mrs., right? And now it looks like that. It'll show up like that. Or it could be two first names, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And if there's two different surnames, because we sometimes have, it would just have to be Laura and Mike, Graham and...
Exactly. And it would be like this. And it would actually show up then as, if you sent them anything, it would show up as Laura Smith and Neela Graham.
Oh, cool.
In the letter it did just...
Perfect. Okay, I think that's what was...
It literally is a first line, second line. You could have,
great.
I don't know, 8 people here if you wanted to, but...
Just following on from that question, with regards to phone numbers, so with the two owners then, we often have 2 mobile numbers. How do you go about knowing whose number's what?
This is where it's either separate owners. It's either separate clients with separate mobile numbers, but if they're together in one record,
yes.
The only way you would do, let's just say I do this and I do this, okay? And if you keep them on one record, this is where you use our notes and just say phone numbers, and put as a pop-up, Laura equals,
sure.
home, and, you get the idea here.
There's no way of actually visually seeing it.
Oops, let me do this. This should be a pop-up. Oh, I'm sorry. No, there is, and I'll tell you why here. Really quick, let me do this here. This is how it should be. This way it's more useful. We've tackled this task, and we've talked about this a lot. The problem is we started doing this, and then somebody says, well, I have 2 mobile numbers. Or I have the modern world of communication. People have more options to communicate than we will ever in terms of catching up. And so we intentionally restricted it to not have, because I know our clientele. Well, if you have 2 mobile fields, how come there's not multiple work fields? I have 2 jobs. I want multiple emails. This is how it snowballs. So this is actually our small way of trying to discipline people.
Sure. I mean, for us, just from our perspective, having at least 2 mobile numbers just because of 2 clients. So if I have the husband and the wife, and the husband books the consult in, but the wife wants us to communicate with her, we could potentially star her number as the primary number. But
Correct.
Say we but we can't get hold of her.
So thank you. Here's my next thing. This is what we tell people. Just do this. Just do this. And oh, shoot. No, we changed that. It won't let you star it.
So back to the other option you had where you had the relationships that were people. If you were to search, so instead of having Laura Smith and Nella Graham, you had Nella Graham as the starred relationship, and then Laura
as a secondary
down here where Bart is. If you were to go into Santa's Little Helper searching through Bart, so if you made an appointment with Bart Simpson to bring Santa's Little Helper in, and you bill for Santa's Little Helper's procedure, it would still go to Homer, wouldn't it?
The bill. Yes, but anybody could pay. It just simply, if someone's on the hook, it's Homer. But any one of the owners, Marge, Bart, or Homer, could pay this. And if you looked up,
but the actual email goes to the starred one.
Yes. Well, no. Sorry. Any communications such as reminders communications will go to all owners. Now, if I want to send out I'll show you this in a moment here. So if I'm searching for as a patient, it'll actually mention both Simpsons here. Like it says Marge Sims, right? And if I went to, the client side of things and you searched, right, Bart will pull up, right? You can pull up Santa's Little Helper under Bart, even though he's not the primary.
So they are all linked.
But he'd still pull up there. You'd say, oh, the son called. Oh, there's Santa's Little Helper, right? I do know, though, he's not the primary because it would be starred here, right? It would show me that.
The invoice itself for the visit, would that get sent only to the starred?
Well, the invoice will, let's find Homer. Let's show you this in real life. Did I pay him? Yeah, I guess Homer paid off. Well, he has multiple owners too, right? And I go to export this. So Gargamel has multiple owners too. And I go to export the invoice. It will only go to the starred one. So
that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So not everybody has to get an email about. Correct. I mean, reminders are one thing, but say the receipt or the care instructions or something, they would just go to the main person.
Exactly. But reminders will go to everyone.
That's fine.
Sometimes families complain. We said, "Oh, we warned you. You got 5 owners now," but that's how it would go. Speaking of which, one last thing speaking of invoices here, I forgot to mention in settings. Late fees in payment terms. So I have as a default here, this is kind of everything has to be paid in 30 days is kind of my default I have. Yeah. Now, you can set up clients to be, excluded from this, right? But just to show you how it works, I want after 30 days to have, in the U.S. and state of California, it's a 1.5% monthly maximum. But, whatever you wish, you can do. It can be a flat fee too. It can be assigned monthly or one time. And, maybe you give a grace period. Well, I'll still give them 5 extra days before they have to pay, right? And do I want to apply this to every invoice or just the really bad ones, right? And do I apply it to, new invoices, or do I go back to every unpaid invoice? And so this is just one other part of the business here that you you get to determine how this is implemented. I forgot to mention that until I saw the client.
That's fine. Yeah, no problem. Is there any?
That's all that I've got.
Yeah, I think. Okay, cool.
Okay, so if you, Dr. Neela, if you can send me if you need help with that template, and Shannon knows, that's great. And then once you guys get inventory set up, please let me know. I really emphasize the clinic flow of checking in from the front with an invoice and a medical note, and then checking out from the front. And a lot of people want to do and I would cover billing with you guys next time too, how to do returns. But a lot of people want to shortcut it. And they want to go to billing and they just want to collect right away on the invoice here.
Yeah.
Billing here is meant to manage all of this. It's not meant to check someone out. So just want to emphasize the check-in and the check-out.
Sure.
Yeah.
No problem.
We'll make that a protocol.
Yeah, that's fine.
Well,
all right. So
I need to start getting home or I get in trouble.
That's fine. That's absolutely fine. I really appreciate your time.
Absolutely.
And we've got plenty to work with for now.
Excellent. And then I look forward to our next training session. We'll make
maybe in a couple of weeks or so.
Yeah, we'll let you know when we're done what we need to do, and then we'll look at.
Okay. And by the way, I recorded this, so I will send this to you for review.
Oh, easy. Thank you so much. That'll be good because then Mark can have a look at it because obviously he's at work.
Sure thing. Perfect. Stop recording.